Am I tripping, or is time just at ×2 speed? The banner's gonna be gone in 2 days. Oh my god. Alrighty, well, get ready, I guess. Now, we're here to talk a little bit more about ALICIA, because of course, it is gonna come down to pulling her, if you should pull her, free to play, pay to win, etc. I do want to talk further more about the character herself, because at the end of the day, pulling the character is one thing, but understanding and utilizing the character is another thing, because ALICIA is not your typical character. She isn't how it is with like Cheyenne, because I mean with Cheyenne, you use a skill, you build her up, and then at the end of it all, she drops an absolute nuke of an ultimate. Whereas ALICIA's ultimate, it's not so much we're using, well, I mean it's there for chip damage, but we're using her ultimate to stack up on the frost, because technically speaking her ultimate is her core attack. So using ALICIA, it's going to be done in a different way, because there is a bit of a cycle to her, because we're having to engage and change that core attack to be the spear form of it, to then apply the most damage that we can. And effectively getting that +1 frost from her dupe changes her up completely to how easier she is, or how easy it is to be using her core attack more often. So it does kind of set apart her being used in a pay-to-win side as well as a free-to-play side. The good news is you don't need her at 8.5 to maximize her attacking form of her when it comes to getting dupes. So let's go to the drawing board, check her out, and then we'll kind of separate the two and kind of see where she needs to be at in terms of going for dupes, or if you just want to kind of get the copy and be done with it. So yeah, first thing first, as we're all aware, the weapon will get through an event, of course. If you've been saving your weapon hunter tickets and whatnot, then, and of course if you've got the correct amount of mana crystals, being 8 blue ones, then you can also go about crafting the Witch of the Snowstorm when it is available. So just quickly wanted to throw that out there. Not a bad weapon to have, to be honest. So in terms of ALICIA, on the way that she is working, the key thing about this character is we're going to be using her, of course, in that support way to get the shield up, and that is self-explanatory, because obviously you just activate, in this case, her first skill, that'll activate the body armor, pretty easy to do. The in-depth look into ALICIA will come from the core attack. That is where things get a little bit dicey, because at that point we are trying to gain as much frost as we can to apply the change for the core attack. So activates core change. So the core attack changes to Bitter Cold Spear, which is what we needed to do, because this is where the most damage ALICIA can do, or where it comes from. So when you use Bitter Cold Spear, it consumes 3 frost instances. So when it comes to gaining the frost, it will come from Eternal Frost, Winter Storm, and Ice Needle. So if we head back, so Winter Frost being the first skill, Ice Needle being the second skill, and then what was the next one? It is Eternal Frost, which is the ultimate, I assume. No, it's the QTE skill. There you go. But the ultimate does give you 5 instances of frost. So the ultimate, the ultimate, yes, you're using for damage, because it will do a decent amount of damage. But the bigger reason why we're using it is to gain that frost, because going into the ultimate to then automatically instantly activate the core attack, you've got 2 big hits being dropped back to back, which is going to be huge in terms of damage. So let's head over to the passive once again, and let's look over to the dupes. Now we've established on what we're trying to aim here, especially with the skills that we're using. When the shield activates, she gets an increase on crit rate and crit damage. That's fine. When Eternal Frost, Winter Storm, or Ice Needle are used, it applies an additional frost. So beforehand, by using either of the skills or the QTE skill, you were getting 1 frost. So if you go into the QTE, so in terms of utilizing ALICIA, you activate the QTE skill, that gives her 1 frost. You use either or of this. I mean, to be fair, you would probably want to use the second skill going into the first skill, right, because you get the freeze and you get the tornado off, of course, and so that will give you 3 frost. So then you will activate the Bitter Cold Spear, and then you go into using the core damage, and then from that point on, depending on how you build her up, you'll kind of repeat the process up until you can automatically activate the ultimate. That will give you 5 frost, then you can use the core attack. Now that rotation I just spoke about is, I would say, if you have a at 0 dupes or even at 1 dupe, because you're not getting the additional 1. Now if you have her at a 2, that's giving you a +1 on everything. So she comes in, QTE skill, that activates, so you get 2. You do one of the skills, that gives you 4. Then at that point, you can then start doing your normal attack to build up your core attack, right? So you're free to do your core attack. Fire that off, and then you'll be at 1. Then you do a skill, which you haven't used yet, so that's 3. Then you'll go back to activating the core attack. So yeah, you are basically going back to back with the core attack, getting that +2, maximizing the damage of ALICIA. Once again, it is her core attack that you are going to be doing the most damage out, like when it comes to using all of her skills. With the bare minimum calculation that I've done with what the percentages is given here, along with a base attack, of course, it was at 150k, but obviously that's me excluding with her being leveled up and people throwing in gears and, you know, and all the basic stats just kind of being rised up. So, but that's kind of like the bare minimum. So already her core attack will be the skill to do the most damage. So that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of ALICIA being duped up by 2 to not even having any dupes, or even if she is A1. That being said, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm going for 2 dupes. I would say if you want to maximize ALICIA, 2 dupes is a minimum in terms of that back-to-back core attack. I do think that even if you choose not to dupe her out and actually just go for the single copy, you can still use her quite nicely in terms of how should I put this, like a support DPS or sub DPS, obviously, because again, Cheyenne will probably be the first attacking unit that people will throw in there, of course, along with Jiwoo. That's a team that you can quite easily use, to be honest. That would be pretty much of a powerhouse of a team. But in a sub DPS form, yeah, you could potentially use a or support sub DPS formation. That is probably the best route I would suggest to go with if you are relaxing on the dupes and just wanting to go for the initial copy, so that way you've got the shield being applied to support the team, and then from that, of course, well, effectively you still want to use the skills first to get that first run of the core attack, then apply the shield, and then you'll switch her out. So in terms of placement, right, well, you can't put her in the first column because you have to activate the QTE skill. So again, this is for the non-dupers. She would have to either be on the second column or in the third column. Usually I like to keep my main attacking unit in the third column, so realistically if I had to build her up, I would probably do Jiwoo in the first column. That will probably get the shield going, would it not? And then the second, and then I'll activate the switch out, tag in ALICIA, get the QTE skill going. That will then lead into the core attack popping off to do a lot of damage, and then I'll end it off, well, I wouldn't end it off because it will be activated. So maybe I would do the QTE skill. Yeah, second skill, first skill, Ice Body Armor has been activated. And again, this would also work very, very nicely in terms of even if you do just have that first dupe, using it in that way, in that order. That way you're maximizing the first dupe. So that's nice. Then you go into the normal attack. That will then lead into the core attack. Apply that. Then you'll switch out into your main aggressive unit. And then you'll kind of rotate round, and by the time it comes back to ALICIA, then she'll be ready to go again with that second round of core attack, of course. I think that is going to be the best route, and again, it is that support sub DPS format on how she's going to be utilized if you choose to not get any dupes into her, or even if you just get one. But I think if you don't get any dupes into her, I do think ALICIA is still going to work absolutely fine, especially with the content that we've got coming up right now with like the chaos and whatnot. The new game modes, of course, where you know there's going to be multiple bosses. So to have again to have the buff where she's applying shield as well as giving you removing debuffs, of course, freezing the enemy if they touch you, of course. Yeah, I do believe that the shield play that ALICIA has can go a long way. But in terms of ALICIA herself, the way she's going to be used, if you are not going any for if you're not shooting for any dupes. that's pretty much going to be it. If you're now going for the A2, so this is for the people that are going to be duping her out, minimum A2. If you're looking to dupe her out, minimum A2. This is the most potential you get from her in terms of the damage side of things. Obviously, going furthermore, like the A3, A4, etc., that's just a bonus. Like A3 is fabulous. 30% increased damage on units that are frozen. That is beautiful. To have that to then lead into the core, insane. So your damage output will be very disgusting. But A2 minimum if you are looking to dupe her out. So then what you can do is when you're doing the rotation and going through the whole lineup, you're going to have a skill free, which allows you to do the core gauge 2 times back to back. Keep in mind, if you do a rotation where the ultimate is involved, then that's going to be boom, boom, and then that's 1, go back, 2, go back, 3. Keep in mind, the rotation when the ultimate kicks in, that's going to be 2 big hits back to back, right? So that's pretty much what we're looking at in terms of Alicia being A2 to where if she's only A1. Oh no, sorry, not even, well, A1, technically A0 to A1, there you go. And then of course, yeah, again, the further we go down the line, she does help out in terms of the water and then the team player. But A2 bare minimum. A3 is where I would say you are really truly maximizing the damage potential of Alicia. I think that is where I'm going to stand. So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, Alicia is a fantastic character. I know I've done a video previously talking about like, maybe Alicia might not be worth the pull. Because, I mean, technically speaking, there are other characters which we can use to kind of fill the spot in. But to really think about having that one character doing what many characters are doing into one, it just kind of makes life a lot easier. And it makes team building a lot easier too, because it's that one unit that's providing us multiple areas of what other characters are doing. For example, let's say, I need that AoE damage dealer that can also remove debuff, immunity, etc. Of course, rather than having 2 units, right? That's kind of filling up 2 slots in the team. I've got that one unit that's doing that job, and then I've got 2 slots open to maybe apply more damage, or if I need something else, right? That's kind of what we're looking at. So like, Alicia is a fantastic character. She's most definitely worth the pull, especially with the water support. Again, spot on. But if you are choosing to summon, and if you are looking to maybe get the initial copy, that's pretty much how she's going to be used. So that's the rotation of what you're going to be looking at. It's still going to work. You're going to be using her as that support sub DPS. That is going to be her main function. If you get her to A2 minimum, then you can really pile on that attacking DPS side of her. Still giving you that hint of support, clearly, but she'll be more of an aggressive character. Way more of an aggressive character. So there's that. Anyway, good luck on your summons.